Whether it's work, parenting, or just keeping up with everyday life, many people are teetering on the verge of total burnout. Joining us today to share her personal struggle with burnout that led her to rock bottom is New York Times bestselling author, money expert, and author of Becoming Superwoman, Nicole Lapin joins us. Nicole, so good to have you. And I love that you've been willing to get so personal and very much so in your book. What led, in your case, to burnout?
You know, I wanted to be Superwoman, the character, like a lot of women do, who wanted to do it all and be all things to all people. So ultimately, I was nothing to myself. And for years, I had self-prescribed, not drugs or alcohol, but work to hide from a traumatic and broken upbringing. And the more I worked, I thought I would be happy. The more I achieved, I thought I would be happy. I became a network news anchor at 21, and I wasn't happy. And I kept raising the bar, and I never got my brain to the other side of happiness. And ultimately, it kicked my butt. So what I want to be now is a super space woman, a woman who puts her oxygen mask on first before helping others.
I love that.
I'm really glad that you're sharing this story because there's so many people who do struggle with burnout. There was a recent Gallup survey in 2018 that employees responded to, and 68% of people said that they experienced burnout at least sometimes, often, or always. So what happened when you hit rock bottom?
Yeah, there's no external solution to an internal problem. And I had been admitted to the emergency room around midnight after being picked up by EMS and the police with a full bottle of Ambien that I was fully intending to take. Suicidal, depressed, and completely stressed. And I woke up in the psych ward, and that's when I had to rethink everything. At that moment, I knew that self-care is actually the biggest asset or liability in your career. And when it's off, it can bring you down to rock bottom like it did for me. And when it's on point, it can actually bring you more success than you imagined.
Yeah, and this syndrome of burnout, even though it's not quite in the DSM, the Diagnostic Manual for Psychiatrists and Psychologists, as a diagnosis yet, the ICD-11 is saying that this is a syndrome that we need to pay attention to. And when you were in the hospital, did they diagnose you with anything? Because burnout also sometimes overlaps with depression. The symptoms actually can look very similar. So what did they tell you when you were hospitalized?
A post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis, which is in the DSM, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know that folks who didn't go to war could have that. So I had a traumatic upbringing, as I mentioned, that was chronically abusive and violent. My father was a brilliant surgeon, and he was also an alcoholic and a drug addict who ultimately died of an overdose when I was 11. And so the dichotomy of public success and private pain has been branded into my DNA. And so I hid continually throughout the years, and ultimately you can't find a solution in working and then working some more for that.
And you share not only your personal story, but you did a huge survey when it comes to burnout. And obviously, the burnout can mean so many different things to different people, but what did you find?
I did the largest study ever done on women and burnout, and I found that we're reaching burnout and breakdown levels in the 80 and 90% ranges. 82% of us have had a burnout, 89% are close to one. About half of us have experienced a breakdown or are close to one. But the most fascinating statistic that I found is that 63% of us believe the pace of our lives is sustainable. So essentially, we're saying that we're really struggling and things are really hard and painful, but it's all good. It's all okay. It's like nothing to see here. Yeah. And there's a huge difference between not drowning and swimming.